From the heart of Houston, it's fun, it's engaging, it's Chattin' with Chelsea. She's daytime's new bestie. Here's your host, Chelsea Edwards. Come back to me.
Hey, besties. Welcome to another episode of Chattin' with Chelsea. I'm your bestie, Chelsea Edwards. Have you ever wanted to be good at public speaking? I mean, really good. Like those people we see on those Tedx videos with the big red letters in the background. They're smartly dressed, they're cool, calm, collected, and really great at storytelling. Okay, so I recently found out that every one of those great speakers started off with a big idea. Okay, recently we had Tedx Third Ward happen right here in the Houston area, and it was incredible. Brought together a group of diverse and dynamic speakers, standing ovations to them all. And the man who brought them all together, Darrell Douglas, is in the building. Come on out, Darrell. Yes.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for doing this. I mean, you have a whole background in helping out the community, really engaging with folks and putting causes together. So what made you want to do TEDx?
So I feel like we're like in this position of divisiveness. There's a lot of divisiveness going around in the community, and there are a lot of big ideas. So I figured TEDx Third Ward would be a great way to bring those people with those big ideas together.
Okay, you got to explain something to me. What is the difference between TEDx and like TED Talk? Because we see both of those.
Absolutely. So TEDx is basically a licensed version of TED. So TED is like a really big conference. They're going to be in Canada this year, but TEDx events happen all across the United States and around the world, and we just had the one that was here in Third Ward.
Okay, now I love Third Ward,
Yes.
but you have to explain
Yes.
why Third Ward. What's special about it?
So first of all, I live in Third Ward.
Yes, all right.
First of all, I took my very first breath at Park Plaza Hospital, less than a mile away. And lastly, I'll say this, you know, a lot of times when it comes to communities like Third Ward, people don't get to share their story. There's a book inside of each of us, I believe. There's a TEDx talk inside of each of us. And so this was just the opportunity to bring that vision to life.
Okay, like you hear that? There's a TEDx talk inside of you. Watch it. Okay, so when it comes to getting that story out of people,
Yes.
you worked with a group of people who, like, some of them had not done anything like this before.
Right.
So how do you get them from just having an idea that they want to share or a story that they want to share to being on that stage?
There were hours and hours of coaching. We started like a month ahead of time, and every week there were coaching sessions, virtually, in person, to polish and get that story really where it needed to be. Because you come out here every day and you're on your A game because you do it all the time, but to someone who's never done it, it takes a little bit of guidance, and so that's where the coaching came in.
Okay, I mean, I try to be on my A game. Roll the tape, we don't say otherwise. Where do you recommend people start if they do want to do something like this? Is there a way that they can work with their local community to bring something like this to their city?
Absolutely. I would say look at TED Talks, look at TEDx Talks, because that's going to show you sort of how the rhythm goes. It's not just doing an inspirational talk. It's not doing what we see on Sunday morning in different churches. It's actually having a big idea and like relaying that big idea. So the point of it is to inspire people. So while you're listening to somebody's big idea, you also have one inside of you.
Okay. I will say I always feel inspired after watching these.
Yes.
So I love it. It starts with a big idea.
Yes.
So what were some of the big ideas that came out of TEDx Third Ward?
Oh my goodness. There was Vivian Liu, who you're going to hear from today, who has her own nonprofit and talks about that connection with origami. There's Jatina Buck, who talked about like rest. Like, wow, like so many big ideas that still have me thinking, and hopefully folks out there will be able to do the same thing.
Okay, especially rest. Like
Yes.
Incorporate that
Absolutely.
into their routine.
Absolutely.
So what's next? Will people be able to access this online and, you know, give their own standing ovations?
Absolutely. So right now, we just had the event, and so there's editing that's going on, but on April 15th at Match Theater at 6 p.m., we're going to have a TEDx Third Ward open house where people are going to be able to come, meet the speakers, hear their big ideas, and also find out like what it was like behind the scenes, where to get started. They're going to be able to meet M.M. Washington, who was our speaker coach. They're going to be able to meet Gina Carroll, who you all will get to meet later, if you're interested in writing your book. So one of the most rewarding things about putting TEDx Third World together was like, it's like a gumbo. There was shrimp, there was sausage, there was rice, there was,
We love a gumbo.
and a good roux.
Yeah, that's what you start with.
There you go. I'm the roux.
Yes, you are the roux. You are the roux. So
Absolutely.
talk a little bit about your background as well and how that kind of played into you putting this event on.
Absolutely. So I grew up in South Park. My very first job out of high school was working for the Texas prison system. I worked there for 5 years, and it was actually those stories from those who were incarcerated, the people who I met during visitation every weekend, that inspired me to go out and start a nonprofit, which is called Houston Justice, HOUjustice.org. And from there, just continuing to do the work and meeting people, I started to realize often those closest to the problem are closest to the solution. And there are a lot of people, just because they don't have letters in front of or behind their name, or just because they're not elected, we oftentimes ignore them. People from certain zip codes, people from certain neighborhoods, people whose parents' paychecks look like mine. And so that sort of became my North Star, to shine a light in the places where it's often I shine.
Okay, I love that. And I love that you brought some fantastic ladies here today.
Yes.
We're going to share some big ideas that can change our lives.
Yes.
All right, we got to do our pose before we go. You guys, keep it here. We got Tedx Third Ward right at Chattin With Chelsea in the building. We'll be right back.
Come back to me.
Dream, dare, do. That is the big idea that brought other big ideas together for TEDx Third Ward. Joining us, Darrell Douglas. We just talked to you about how you did this whole thing. You also brought with you today Vivian Liu of Origami for Good. We have Gina Carroll, author, and Dr. Amber Gunner, workplace wellness consultant. All ladies with big ideas that presented during TEDx Third Ward. Okay, how was it, ladies? How was it for you?
It was phenomenal.
Had y'all done public speaking before?
Yes.
Okay, you're an author, so okay.
Did I have to memorize 10 minutes of a speech? Never.
Okay. What about you,
That was
Vivian?
new.
So I'm in high school, so for me, I've only given like presentations at school, so going on the TEDx stage is crazy.
Yeah, and incredible that you were 15?
Yes, I'm 15.
Okay, woo! So you've already like done a bucket list item that many people dream of. Okay, how did y'all do? We talked about you doing the coaching, but to have to memorize 10 minutes, you know, I think I'm doing something with my little 1 minute in the beginning of the show, but 10 minutes? What did y'all do? How did y'all figure that out?
And that is in part to Darrell and the team and the coaches that we had of really helping us not only feel confident and comfortable with the speech, but also to know that like this is your story, and so you can't mess up your big idea. So I think that helped quite a bit, along with all of the rehearsal and things that we had.
Yes. What are some tips you pulled away from doing a great speech? Were there certain things that helped you memorize if you got, or recall when you got stuck or anything like that?
Well, for me, I'm in high school, so I remember like the day before or the days coming up to the event, I had my headphones on at school and I was listening to myself say my speech over and over, and that really helped me memorize.
Oh, that is really good. What about you, ladies?
I mean, the main thing is to really zero in on that one big idea, right? There's several corollaries that are possible, but if you zero in, then you're able to focus and get the talk down even before you memorize it.
How many practices and rehearsals are we talking?
So there were coaching sessions every week for about a month leading up to it, twice a week. And then the actual week of the event, we were together from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. one night.
Oh, wow.
And then we came together at 10 a.m. the day of the event. So that was almost a 12-hour day for us, because it was really polishing and getting it as clear as possible.
Yeah.
And also like honing in on the big idea.
And you know, people don't know all of the work that you all put in. Like, we see the videos and we're thinking, oh, they're just great at speaking, but you actually had to put in hours and hours, weeks of getting ready.
Absolutely.
All right, so we got to get into your big ideas. Vivian, let's start with you. Origami for Good, what is that all about, and what was your big idea?
Yeah, so I'm the co-founder of a youth-led nonprofit organization, Origami for Good. So we send origami made by teen volunteers all around the world to hospitals, nursing homes, and senior centers. So I just really wanted to emphasize on the small moments of happiness and joy, especially receiving a handmade origami.
Wow, what are some of the reactions you get from people when they get that crane, or y'all do different types of origami?
Yeah, we do different animals and different types of origami. So we have like flat origami and then also more of the 3D. So we've gotten emails from like hospitals in like India and them telling us like, oh wow, the kids like they really love the origami and it brought them so much joy, and those just like make me feel so good.
Yeah, so just a little piece of origami can make such a difference in somebody's day and their lives. I love that. All right, Dr. Gunner, let's talk about your big idea.
So my big idea is that we don't have to combat and deal with burnout on our own. That in fact our community, our colleagues, our family can be a resource to us in helping to prevent that burnout. But one of the main things that people struggle with the most is asking for help. So how do we go about asking for help in a way that we can receive what we need, but also it's going to align with that person's strengths?
Ooh, okay. We're definitely going to circle back on that one, because that can be a struggle, right? Asking for help. Darrell, did you have to ask for a lot of help with this?
I had to ask for a lot of help, and I want to acknowledge some of the people who played a part in this. You know, I came up with the idea, but it was M.M. Washington, it was Adonis May, it was Tiffany Robinson, it was Akua Fayette and Aljanita Davis, and okay, the other people that didn't, you know, I'm not going to go down the whole list. But there were a lot of people who came and filled in and really allowed this to like be pulled off.
Yeah, okay. It took a whole lot of people.
A whole lot of folks. And then, you know, M.M. Washington was the coach, and there was a coaching team that would give feedback. So when you're, I don't know about y'all, but I listen to TED Talks and I'm on my way to sleep a lot of times.
Wow, I do not, but
Yes,
that's good
okay,
to know.
so listen, that's my big idea. But set your timer and listen, and like seeing the way that these talks actually came together, now I listen to them from a totally different angle. Now I see there's a lot that goes into it. And I'm pretty sure there are probably people right now, whether you're a cook, whether you're an entrepreneur, whatever it is that you do, there's so much behind the scenes that it takes to make what you do.
Yes, okay. Oh, well, how do you do what you do? Gina, let's talk about your big idea. You're already an author, so you already put so many ideas out there in the world.
Yes, my big idea is for others to join me in authorship, though. That everyone has a story worth the writing and the telling.
Yes.
And so my talk is about how to do that and why it's important to do.
Now, are you continuing writing? How many books do you have already?
I have 3.
Okay, wow, nice.
Yeah. My
nice.
first work of fiction is my latest. That was just published in June.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, you ladies are all going to give us tips on how to incorporate your big ideas into our daily lives. Are y'all ready to do that? Change some lives out there? Okay, you guys, we'll be right back after this. Don't move. We are back with our panel of TEDx speakers, TEDx Third Ward, that is, with their big ideas and how to incorporate them into your life, make some big changes possibly. So we'll start with you, Vivian. Origami, is that something that people can work into their daily lives or into their lives in general?
Yeah, for sure. Origami is like very therapeutic, and that's part of the reason why we send it to all these senior centers, nursing homes, and hospitals, is because they kind of provide a way for these hospital patients for comfort, and it makes them feel better and just know that there's like someone out there that cares about them.
Where would people start if they really did want to create their own? What do you recommend?
I recommend, you don't even need origami paper. You can actually make square-shaped paper out of regular printer paper, and I would just recommend looking online for tutorials. I make tutorials myself. You could watch my tutorials, and there's also tons of tutorials on YouTube and on other social media platforms.
Oh, where are your tutorials?
They're uploaded on our Instagram, and then we also have a website, and that's where me and my co-founder, we make tutorials for our volunteers.
I love that. Do you have a favorite animal that you do with origami?
I really like making paper cranes. I think paper cranes are such a origami like staple, and they're just very like nice looking, I think. Yeah.
I love it. Okay, and you've done some beautiful work I've seen, so I love it. Working that in, getting some creativity going as well in your life. That could make a change, right? All right, Dr. Gunner, what about you? You know, trying to get us together and not be overloaded, right?
Yes. And so I think we often will go to the one or two people that we know to ask for the help that we need when we're feeling overwhelmed, when we're feeling exhausted, and usually we end up kind of burning out those people. And so part of my big idea is that once you know what your needs are or the things that are overwhelming you, you want to write those down. But then you also want to write down the people who are in your community, in your support network, and next to their names, you want to write down their strengths.
Okay, all right.
And now we're going to match what their strengths are to what your needs are.
Oh, that makes so much sense. I have never thought to do that before. Okay, so starting with what's bothering me the most, what's stressing me out.
Absolutely. What would you say that is?
Oof. I would say, you know, I'm a single mom, so
Yes,
okay.
yes.
It can be a lot, and sometimes it's the mom guilt that can stress me out. You know, making sure that I carve out that time, but also being able to, you know, I guess meet this standard of having it together, of never have a clean car, but, you know, clean home, you know, making sure that he has everything that he needs while also, you know, taking care of my career.
Well, tell me this, if you had one thing that you could give to someone else to do, what would it be?
Housework.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And so now you know that need that you have, and merely who can we match with that to help you with the housework?
Okay, all right. I do have some people I can call.
There you go.
Like, hey,
there you go.
I need some assistance.
Absolutely.
And I love that. I love the idea that we're not stretching the same people in our lives over and over.
And we're using them in their gifts and in their strengths, and so it makes them feel so much better to be able to give to you. They're not having to do so with resistance because it's their strong suit.
I love that. And it makes it easier for them.
Yes.
So, like, hey, Vivian, come over, do some origami with my son. And that's her strength.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, big idea. I love that. All right.
So great.
What you got?
I feel like I know everyone's talk.
Yes.
This is what's been so great about this community. I'm like, well, Vivian, tell them about creativity.
Yes.
For creativity's sake. Like, I have a little, it's been pretty wonderful. My big idea is that you have a story to tell.
Yes.
Your big life story is really made up of many stories.
Okay.
So we know that 81% of the population, according to Forbes, wants to write about their lives.
Really?
But only 3% go on to finish.
That many people want to be authors. Okay.
Right.
So where would they even start?
Well, so if they want to write, they already know that they want to say something, that their stories are worthy to be passed on. And so they really have to focus in on that one story. Now, I have a way to do that. You have to listen to the Tedx talk.
Listen to the talk, okay.
But just understanding that your time is worthy, that your stories, that one big overwhelming life story is really made up of many, and you can just choose one and start with one.
All right,
and
so
go from there.
If people have a lot of stories, you know, thinking about our lives from childhood.
People do have a lot of stories.
Yeah, so how do they narrow down the best one? I'm sure that's a question that you might get. Like, don't tell me to just watch the TED Talk.
It's on the TEDx.
Is that too? It's on there, narrowing it down?
That's the answer.
Okay, all right, give me a
But
hint.
everyone can do it.
Okay.
There's no, it's not rocket science, but it is a way that it fuels your writing when you focused in. It helps you with your flow, but also to finish. So how many people have started? They started a journal, or they started something, and it's like, ugh, where do I go? It's hard, and writing is hard. But there are ways to really keep yourself going. And what's beautiful about starting and finishing that one story is you reach that completion. You've shared it, and suddenly you understand its impact. And that really does move you forward.
Does it matter how people share it? Do you also talk about, if you want it published, or do you put it in a blog, and all the different options that you have?
So many options. That's the beautiful thing about this moment, is that there are so many ways to share your stories. There's so many formats, there's so many platforms, and even in the publishing space, there's so many options that you can really do on your own as well. That's never been true before. And so access is so much easier now if you want to get it done.
Okay. Thank you for coming and sharing your stories. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back with our final thoughts.
I want to thank you for joining me for another Chattin' with Chelsea, and thank this entire TEDx Third Ward panel. And Darrell, you were just telling me TEDx Third Ward almost didn't happen.
It almost didn't happen, Chelsea.
What's your final thoughts?
Someone told me, they said, you should do TEDx, but don't call it TEDx Third Ward. Third Ward is going to scare some people away. And, there were other naysayers who said maybe we shouldn't charge for the event or didn't believe that it would happen. And I think people will be able to relate to that. Look at you today. You have Chattin' with Chelsea. You got a show. You went from the news to doing this, and there's someone on their couch or in their car watching this on their lunch break. It's almost time to clock in. Yes. And it is up to them to dream and to dare and to do. Whether it's that nonprofit that you're supposed to start, whether it's that job that you've been saying that you were going to quit and figure something else out, whether it's the business that you're supposed to start where you are with what you have, and like Dr. Amber Gunner said, with who you have. I think this is your signal. If you're watching this show and you know the thing that I'm talking about, when this show goes off, go do it.
Ooh. Okay, well we got to get out of here because you folks got some things to do. Okay, keep up with us on social at Chelsea Show Fox. Until next time, we'll see you on the next Chattin' with Chelsea. Get it done. Okay, let's dance.
Get it done.
Yeah, all right.
Come back.